Hello, good morning, class. Welcome to our session for today. I am teacher Tapuno, and together with me are teachers Paragoso, Celestino, Castro, Pastor, and Mendoza. And today we are going to discuss to you the arts and cultural artifacts. The outline of our topic for today is uh, the definition of art, artifacts, and cultural artifacts, 7 artifacts that represent Filipinos' rich culture and heritage, the artifacts maker, the importance of cultural artifacts, and where artifacts can be found. Now, to begin, let's discuss the art. As we all know, art has always been a significant part of our life. It is ingrained in a human being in several forms, and art even exists in the form of dressing, preparing food, communicating, performing, any creation such as drama, painting, music, sculpting, and etc. And art even considered as a way to express ourselves, and how we feel the world around them. And the art plays a major role in expressing inner beauty and thoughts. And from music to dance, we use arts as a medium to touch that part that we can reach with the help of science. And art can even be shocking. Art also inspires people and motivates them with incredible meaning hidden behind it. And it even transports people into different world of reality and move us into subconscious locations that we have no idea that existed. Thus, ang kaning art is universal. Makita nato siya everywhere, and without art, it is difficult to see and appreciate anything beautiful. Art adds attraction and charm to anything we look at. It reflects our feelings, our moods, and it is the best means to feel relaxed and contemplate on your life. Art is an important way of translating one's emotions and feelings. It is a therapy for people who feel bored, depressed, or lack any meaning in life. Engaging in art relaxes our mind, nourishes our soul, and it exercises the creative side of our brain. Also, it is not just about painting, sculpture, drawing, decorative arts, or many others, but it is also a product of human activities in creating societal and cultural artifacts. We Filipinos have contributed to the arts in our own way. Filipino culture is an excellent example of how art can be used to communicate. Even before we met the colonists, we Filipinos already have a lot of means where we use art to its fullest. Tattoos, for example, are something we can see in most of our ancestors, which mga tattoos hold a lot of significance for them. And these tattoos are not only for gorgeous or aesthetic value, but they also represent many things like strength and bravery. Of course, we can't ignore the fact that folk performing arts and folk literature are still being utilized to educate and enlighten our youth about the world and the truth surrounding it. Our country also managed to produce many great artists like Juan Luna and Lalhati Bautista, who use their art to become a voice to those who need to be heard. Ang Spolarium and Bicada 70 are just some of the example of this. And these kinds of work where Filipino artists use their skills and knowledge to become a voice for those who need to be heard are most significant contributions to art. Above all, Philippines is a home to natural beauty and culture. It is a home to many proud craftsmen and artisans. And these kaning photos nga nakita niya sa presentation, artifacts nga na-produce sa atong proud craftsmen and artisans. And these artifacts will be further discussed later. So for the next slide, let's have teacher Paracoso.
Good morning, class. I am Tessie Marie Paragoso, a member of the Group 3, and now we are going to recognize and understand what an artifact is. Artifact. Artifact, or artifact with an I, came from the Latin word artifactum, where arte means by or using art, and factum means something was made. So, the word artifact precisely means something was made using art, or something was made by the use of art. Artifact, please move to the next slide. Artifact is a human-made ornament or tool or other item, especially one that is historically or culturally notable. It is an archaeological find because an artifact, which is a tool, contains of the study of society and peoples. Artifact is also an anti-capitalism, which means that it encompasses a variety of attitudes and ideas that oppose capitalism. And as what Ms. Tapuno said, it is a homemade or handcrafted by many proud craftsmen and artisans. And it is different from the established industrial model kay ang industrial model manggod mura siya three-dimensional model and nag-contain siya different dimensions and materials para lang mabuo ang whole product. While ang artifact is usually a simple na jud siya nga object that shows human workmanship that has some kind of cultural significance. Without further ado, you may now shift your focus to the main topic, which is all about the art as cultural artifacts. Ms. Celestino, you may take it away.
Maraming salamat, Binibining Paragoso. Since you already know about artifacts, now let's discover what is a cultural artifact. So a cultural artifact is an item that, when found, gives significant information about the society that made or used it. So what is qualified as a cultural artifact? For example, burial coins, painted pottery, telephones, or anything else, as long as that evidences the social, political, economic, or religious organization of the people whom they belong to, can be considered cultural artifacts. Now, Ma'am, pwede ba ang foods? Yes, food is a cultural artifact because it contains critical information, critical, about the society from which it comes, like the type of food that grows in a region and the values and customs that people hold about it, such as in annual harvest feasts. Not all cultural artifacts are ancient, okay? We are making purchasing, selling, and throwing out items every day that could be considered cultural artifacts. Nga, ma'am, pwede ba ang smartphones? Yes, simply because it is considered as evidence of the way people communicate in the early 21st century. Now let's proceed another example that represents Filipinos' rich culture and heritage. First, bolos. Next slide, please. Are you familiar with this graph? Actually, daghan siya positions, but usa rin meaning and purpose ani niya. This is an important granary guardian. These are stylized representations of Ifugao and Kalanguya ancestors. The Ifugao tribesmen of northern Luzon are noted for carving the wooden figures believed to guard rice crops in the Cordilleras. It is a product of human workmanship and Ifugao skill in wood carving and ritual use. It is cultural artifact because it has been a part of Ifugao traditional knowledge since time immemorial. Now let's go to another artifact. Mr. Castro, take your lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cristino. Let us now continue to another example of cultural artifacts, and this is the retablos and santos. So a retablo is a devotional painting, especially a small popular or folk art, one using iconography derived from traditional Catholic church art. So more generally, retablo is also the Spanish term for a retable or reredos above an altar. So whether a large altarpiece painting or an elaborate wooden structure with sculpture. So as you can see to the picture na mga figures siya sa mga santos, and that is an example of retablos or retablo. So also the painting and other pictures, that is an example of retablo. And also kung makabante mo sa mga Catholic Church no kanang sa luyo sa communion table kanang mga figures sa santos, na mga designs, and that is called as retablos or retables or reredos. So now let's continue to the next example. So diamante. So diamante are the outer crust portion of a diamond. So they are believed to give good luck to those who receive them as a gift. So other folks believe diamante drives away evil spirits to those who wear them. So diamante is like more like they talks about the diamond, and nasa mga kanang toto sa unang mga kung magsulog ko kani is kaya makatabang ni para palayo or patabway sa mga evil spirit. And as you can see to the example nga more accessories nga naka-connect sa diamond. So it's a Westinghouse fine jewelry, also offering artisan pieces such as an 18-karat gold ring with white diamond. So mana siya dira ang katong 18-karat ring with white diamond kana nasa picture, mana siyang ang example or siya accessories with sa diamond. So next is the corales. So corales, besides ivory, diamante, and pearl, corales or corals were also popular in Philippines jewelry. So Maria Angelica Rare Finds puts together all silver frame, corales, and brass and costumes pieces to grace the neck of the wearer. So an antique cameo framed in gold filigree serves as pendant. So as you can see, no, ano mga kaning sa picture is made up of corals ni siya nga accessories, and kung makita man sa pendant is kung nakita man ang mark frame sa pendant is a gold filigree. So dili lang ivory or diamante or pearls ang sikat sad sa mga pagbuhat og accessories, but also ang corals food. And that's the end of another example. And let us welcome John William Pastor to continue the example of cultural artifacts.
Good morning, class. So my name is teacher John William Pastor, and the next example of the cultural artifact is paineta. In Spain and in the rest of the Hispanic world, a paineta is a large decorative comb usually worn under a mantilla or lace head covering. The hair ornament worn by women consists of a convex body and a set of teeth that affix it to hair worn in a bun. The paineta was once made of tortoise shell, but is now usually made of synthetic materials such as acrylic or plastic. The origin of paineta goes back in the 19th century in Spain, but there is evidence of its use on the Iberian Peninsula as early as the 5th century BCE, and in other areas from the 17th century. It is used today primarily during special occasions such as weddings, bullfights, Holy Week processions, and traditional performances of flamenco music. Due to Spanish influence, all generations of Filipina women used to wear elaborate piñata or bejeweled combs. More than just something that keeps the hair in place, the combs are believed to show one's social status. The more bejeweled the comb, the richer the wearer. Next slide, please. So that is the beads. A small piece of glass or stone or similar material, typically rounded and perforated for threading with others as a necklace, a rosary, or for sewing on the fabric. These have been used by cultures, religions, and subcultures for personal adornment, communication, and trade across the world. Today, we see these used in artworks, jewelry making, embroidery, costume design, and much, much more. Even before colonizers came to the Philippines, Filipino tribes have been using elaborate beadwork or beadwork in their accessories and clothes. Beads range from handmade resin to cut seeds and animal bones. But more than just ornaments, these beads have been woven into patterns with deep spiritual meanings. Next slide, please. So another example of cultural artifacts is ornas. Like beadwork, antique jewelry boxes, rice containers, and orna or urns are not just storage keepers, but are engraved with meanings and precious stones. They are also orna, vaguely translated into house shrine. It is a delicately carved wooden housing for santos or religious icons found in the most parts of the country. So that's all, class. Next teacher will be discussing of the last portion of discussion, teacher GK Mendoza. Take it away.
Some motivational introduction kay ang manok. So guys, a pleasant morning again. I'm so glad we reached the end. So, and my part, so we already heard what cultural artifact is. Then we also nakita sa mga artifacts dito sa Philippines. So, nasa ibang artifacts sa lain lugar sa country. But we sa dito part is focus kasi ang sana again, naka-encounter kung sa cultural tourism and cultural design, naka-encounter what is cultural artifact or naka-encounter sa kung unsa itong mga artifacts nila sa Philippines. So, the question there is, who are the creator of artifacts? So, it is very simple, guys. The creator of the artifacts are the skilled people or the craftsmen. So, why? So, nga naman. So, from the definition itself, kay as what teacher Tessie said a while ago, artifact. So coming from the Latin word artifacto, means made by the human agency. So made by the human agency by skill or craft. Though dili kan siya word to word nga priha ka giingon kasi, but the main point there is maora siya. So made by the human agency by the skill or craft. So obviously gikan na to. So commonly maka-define ta sa kanang sa artifact is gikan jud na siya sa mga kanang skilled craftsman, but there are also an artifact na dili sa kanang made sa kanang tao nga kanang craftsman or kanang mga skilled people. However, it also have a kanang value sad. So culture artifact can be also called or known as a social artifact. So, anong matawag na nato siya og social artifact? So, it is because a cultural artifact are created by human societies. So, when we saw a cultural artifact, it gives, further na okay, continue na ako. So, when we saw a kanang artifact manggod kay, it defines manggod ang palig ko sa next slide. Next slide, please. So, for the next slide, slide, oh yeah. So, it contains there kung sa importante ang mga artifact. So, if makita mo yung artifact, kay usa na siya sa atong identity na like makalocate kay anak. When we saw kanang pentagon shape na kanang lungon, so makaingon ta nga kanang sa Egyptian na kanang like modified na kanang lungon ning ana siya, but the very first katutong mura siya kanang wala siya sides ana. So first the question there is, why is it important? So una nga bullet is key of understanding. Key of understanding in a sense na it help us to understand in the present nga naman why we need those artifacts kay it helps us to understand kung unsay naa nato karon in the modern world. So we need those, it's the same things as sa history. We need those informations for us to better understand kung unsay naa nato karon in the present. Hey, we live hanging man nga kung unsa ni it's hard for us to determine man kung unsa ni siya asa ni gitinugtan without those artifacts of history of it. So, mo na siya resemblance of the past kay, again, they are related to the bullet number 1 na they are the image that represents from the past for us to understand kung unsang atong mga naakaron sa modern world. Then the third, it gives not just give but strengthen our identity. Again, that's what I've said a while ago nga it defines us, it gives us names as like kani siya when you say nga kanang artifact makaingon ta nga ay kani mo man ni artifact na nag-symbolize nga kani mo siya Filipino, kani siya ay mo siyang artifact na mga ay gikan na sa India ing ana siya. So mo na siya tong always remember the key of understanding for us to understand sa modern world. If we cannot if we don't able to kanang sanay sa tayo if we didn't able to dig sa atong past of also sa artifacts kay we live hanging good sa atong present. So also din na aning artifacts di ay nganong kinahanglan man nato nga mahibalaan. So artifact contains an important information about the people and the culture of the society. So yung ang impact niya nganong nakaingon ta nga kinahanglan natong masabtan ang atong modern world. So we need to dig from the past. So next slide please. So where artifacts can be found. So actually it can be found anywhere. In fact, some of the most important historical and cultural artifacts have been found by accident or in an ancient garbage dump. So kung mag-iisad siya based sa atong mga nakita na mga documentation kanang sa National Geographic, ang mga artifacts na nakita kay kasagaran jud kay gipang lubong. And kung wala ang gipang lubong, kasagaran na ana siya sa mga cave. So mo na siya only na nalocate na siya sa artifacts can be found anywhere jud, dili na kay siya ingon nga dapat dira na siya specific place. So ana siya mga na-arrange na siya anywhere na isa lang sa na to recognize. So dili na siya hindrance ang kanang mga location. So means the location and nature of culture artifacts are just diverse as the people and the society they represent. O diba, cycle na siya. So nga siya, di ingon nga, dili na siya, na siya. So it can be found anywhere. So the definition nila sa artifact is kanang man-made siya sa kanang human society. Then karon so makita na sa nato siya sa society mismo siya. So mo pasabot na cycle. So the location and the nature of cultural artifacts are just as diverse as the people and society they represent.
So before this presentation come to an end, I'm gonna leave you a quote coming from Marcus Garvey. So he said, "A people without the knowledge of their past history, religion, and culture is like a tree without a root." So we really need to cultivate what's everything in the past for us to understand what's everything in the present. Kay ang past nato mo man atong core, mo atong roots, mo atong fundamental, and we are the branches, we are the vines, we are the fruit of the past. So we cannot understand everything kung unsay naa nato karon without knowing the past or origin. So that's why we need the artifacts. we need to cultivate an information from the past. So that's it. Have a great day, everyone.